Let's hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Puck It with Jo. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Jo here of SportsGrid. It's time for Puck It with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X. Now, we've got 9 games out there on the ice today. So we're going to break down each and every single one of these games. And of course, we will do that recap at the end. Now, lots of movement last night. JT Miller was traded to the New York Rangers, and it looks like he will be playing today in Boston. So something to look out for there with JT Miller probably getting the start. We also have a bunch of other movements, other teams that have been affected in the trades in the last week here. So especially over these last couple of days, the Pittsburgh Penguins agreeing to trade with Vancouver, a couple of players as well. So definitely a lot to look at. So let's dive into these games and what we're looking at in these games, each and every single one of them. Over there, out there. Hi, Matt. Happy Saturday. I can't believe it's already Saturday, February the 1st. You guys, I don't know where time is coming. It's time. Yeah, Winnipeg absolutely struggles versus the Washington Capitals. So we're going to get into that one. Winnipeg Jets on a hot streak right now. I don't think it lasts here today. So let's jump into the first game here. It's kicking off in about an hour. 1 o'clock Eastern, we'll see the matchup between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Florida Panthers. Now, looking at the line in this one, all odds, of course, are over on FanDuel. We're seeing a total of 5.5. It's a light total, but the juice is to that over at minus 134. We have straight up money lines are gross. So I was going to tell you the puck lines. I'll tell you the money lines first. Plus 330 here for the Chicago Blackhawks if you think they can pull off the upset. Now, they do play really tight games with the Florida Panthers. Minus 430 here for the Florida Panthers. The puck line for the Chicago Blackhawks plus 1.5 is plus 126. And then you do have the Florida Panthers rolling in, laying 1.5 minus 154. Not something I want to touch even on the puck line for the Florida Panthers. When we look at this matchup, like I said, we've seen Chicago be tight on those puck lines. I covered the puck line in the last 5 meetings versus the Florida Panthers, but are we getting enough value here for Chicago at plus 1.5 at plus 126 versus a team that we know can just steamroll them if they decide to? So I'm cautious of that plus 1.5 for the Chicago Blackhawks. I do think at the end of the day, we probably see that tighter game here between these two. But we do see the Florida Panthers rolling in here off a win over the Kings. Wednesday, they're able to get a shutout win. 3-0. That defense locking down so tight. We do have Chicago rolling in off a tight game versus the Carolina Hurricanes. Yes, they lost that one on Thursday, but they were able to put up 2 goals on the Carolina Hurricanes, holding them to 3. So 3-2, they covered the puck line in that. This team has struggled, though, so much away from home. 16-3 is their road record, and I just really don't love it. Well, how can you love that road record? It just hasn't been good. Now, the Florida Panthers are doing themselves a disservice in a lot of these games. Anytime in the box is detrimental. While they do have a good kill, when they take more penalty minutes than their opponents, they're 14, or when they take less penalty minutes than their opponents, they're 14-6. So they have to come out here and they have to play smarter. They can't play with their emotions. I do think the best way to bet this one is looking at the player props. We've got Sam Reinhart for goal number 30. He wasn't able to get that in the last game versus the LA Kings, and I will come back in on Sam Reinhart for the anytime goal tonight. I do think he'll be able to put the puck in the back of the net on Peter Mrazek. Now, you can also look at Matthew Tkachuk. I like Matthew Tkachuk to score as well. Connor Bedard, we know, has been great for the Chicago Blackhawks, scoring in the last 3 road games, but it's Bobrovsky in net tonight. Now, one thing I'll look at here for a side is the Florida Panthers in the first period. I'm going to take them first period puck line laying a half goal. You're going to still lay some juice at minus 106, but I do expect them to come out nice and strong on their home ice, go up first in this one, and we know Chicago seems to fight their way back. So if then at that point you're getting Chicago plus 2.5, I will be coming back in and live betting Chicago plus the 2.5. Now, is there a look ahead situation here for the Florida Panthers, because we always look at that off that big win versus a hard opponent in the LA Kings, shutting them out. Well, they're on the first night of back-to-back, but it's the Isles tomorrow. You guys, I don't think they're going to look past here the Chicago Blackhawks because they have the Islanders on deck. So I don't think we have that look-ahead situation where it would be possible to fade the Panthers in this game and take the Chicago Blackhawks straight up on the money line. It's that road record that I can't get past for Chicago here in this one. Yeah, Larry, we definitely have to look at Sam Reinhart for the anytime goal. The shots on goal, yeah, that's a great way to go with these players, with these shots on goal tonight as well. We know the Chicago Blackhawks are one of the worst defenses in the league, allowing the opponents to really fire away at Peter Mrazek. So I do love your look there of those shots on goal. Let's have a beautiful Saturday, that's for sure. Let's make some freaking money. You guys, I will be live on the grid as well for 4 hours this afternoon from 2 o'clock 2 o'clock my time. So 4 o'clock Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you come and join me. And then I'm headed off to the Flames game. Can hardly wait for that one. And thank you, Kev. Good morning to you. And if you guys could hit that like, share, retweet, I'd appreciate it. Let's jump into the next game here because we got 9 to go over. We got the New York Rangers taking on the Boston Bruins. Now, we are hearing JT Miller should be in the lineup. And what is that going to do for the New York Rangers today? Is it going to take a hot minute for this team to really get things together? We saw that with Colorado. With those changes, they needed that game under their belt. Still, there could be question marks around those trades and how those players are feeling out there. So you got to wonder with JT Miller coming over here, what we're going to see out of the New York Rangers versus Boston. Now, one thing that is going to hold true is Igor Shesterkin. Igor Shesterkin has been strong in net. He's been rolling well, and we look at him versus the Bruins. And while he doesn't have those wins going 4-7 in 11 games, we do see a low save percentage and goals against average. So a 2.78 goals against average, higher save percentage of 909. So I love what we're seeing out of him versus the Bruins. Swayman on the other side. You guys know Swayman just hasn't been that goaltender that we expected him to be after he got paid this season. When we look at him versus the Rangers, it is a high save percentage of 935. But he does have only a 1.85 goals against average. So I'm looking here at a lower scoring game between these two teams. I think the under 5.5 is in play. So current odds on this one, when we look, the under 5.5 is coming in at plus 112. I know it's dangerous with, we've got Pasternak over here for the Boston Bruins. We have so much firepower on both sides, but I look at the goaltending, and as long as Swayman can do his share, I think Igor will, and this one stays under the 5.5. So the under 5.5, it's also an afternoon game, this one kicking off at 3:40 Eastern. We do see those road games tend to stay lower scoring out there, or they become absolute berserk pond hockey. They go one way or the other. There's no in between. So at the 5.5, I will take it to the under at plus 112. If you're looking at the Rangers on the money line, they're minus 125, plus 104 here for the Boston Bruins. A couple other things to look at here. We have seen the Rangers lose their last two. Tuesday, they got shut out by the Carolina Hurricanes. Teams that get shut out in their last game normally come out phenomenally strong in the first period. If you want to look at the Rangers in the first period on the puck line or the money line, I do like it because I think they can get up on Boston. Again, the goaltender I trust more in this matchup is Igor Shesterkin. I expect Igor Shesterkin to come out of the gate strong. We could see Swayman have a couple of hiccups in the first, and then the Rangers get up, and then we see him kind of settle down here. They've lost their last two. They're coming off that big loss to the Jets on Thursday, allowing 6 goals in that one. They have the Wild on deck on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, they will be in New York to take on the Rangers. So they will have a back-to-back situation in the next game versus the Rangers in New York in the Garden. Whereas we look at the Rangers, they're one-off road game here. They're home tomorrow versus Vegas. Hard spot with Vegas on deck tomorrow, coming out here for a one-off road game. So I don't love the scheduling spot either for the Rangers. So first period for the Rangers, and then just give me the under. This is original 6 matchup. These battles, hard-hitting defensive battles out there. Now, if you want to look at a couple storylines for those goal scorers, Chris Kreider, in his hometown, you could look at Chris Kreider to score here. In Boston, you're going to get great plus money with him. Pasternak, if you're liking the Bruins and if you think we're going to see the points come on the board, you got to look at Pasta for 2+ points in this one. But you look at his last 10 games, 7 goals and 12 assists. He is just straight fire right now for the Boston Bruins. Zaka has been strong as well. And Zaka has recorded the assists in the last 8 games, 6 assists. So, at least 1 assist in 6. Yeah, at least 1 assist in 6 of the last 8. Man, it's a mouthful on a Saturday morning. So, again, watch for JT Miller. Watch for JT Miller where he's going to be inserted into this lineup and what he brings to this table. So we have seen the Rangers get off to hot starts. Can they get off to a hot start with the trades here? They should be able to. So Rangers first period in the under 5.5. We're going to move on to the next one here. I'm just seeing your guys' Reinhardt. Good morning, PB. I don't know if Ottawa's going to lose today. They've got a interesting matchup there with the Wild. Good morning, Irish King. Okay, let's get on to the next one. The Nashville Predators taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Again, all odds, you guys, are over on FanDuel. Make sure you always shop your lines, get the best of the numbers. But I try to give you guys the FanDuel lines because they are the most common out there. You're going to find lines very similar to FanDuel, and they offer so much. So the Nashville Predators are a -120 favorite here on the road versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, Nashville was involved in that game last night. No sweat to the both teams to score with them and the Buffalo Sabres last night. I tell you, I was so thankful. We had 4 total goals in that first period, both of the teams scoring twice, so we were able to get both teams to score and get that great plus money, the over 1.5, and we got in and out of that game. It did finish with the Buffalo Sabres getting the win. Now the Nashville Predators, second night of back-to-back, are rolling into Pittsburgh, and they're a -120 favorite. You would think, come on, why are they the favorite here? They're on the second night of back-to-back. Pittsburgh was involved in those trades. So Pittsburgh plus 100, I do think these trades, it takes a while to get their feet underneath them, just like we saw out of Colorado, less as much as what we saw out of Carolina, who just seems to be rolling out there. So total of 6.5 in this one, -115 to the under, which is really interesting. We know both of these teams have the ability to score offensively. Their defenses kind of sluggish, kind of slow out there at times. So the over 6.5 was -105. I really would have thought the juice would have gone to the other way of this one. Saros tonight for the Nashville Predators, and the Nedeljkovic here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, the Preds now, after taking that loss last night to the Buffalo Sabres, they have lost their last 3. We do see the Pittsburgh Penguins rolling in here off a win versus Utah. It was out on the road in overtime. They were able to get a 3-2 win. Now, that was on Wednesday, so they've had a couple days to get home from this road trip. But this was an extended road trip out there, you guys. They were on the road for 7 games. They went 3-4 in those 7 games. And then you look at their schedule ahead. It's brutal. Coming home from a road trip, now taking on the Preds, but then they're the Devils on deck on Tuesday. They're at the Rangers on Friday, and then the Flyers on Saturday. So they're the Friday, Saturday back-to-back next week, and the Devils in between. It's a hard spot for any team to be able to play. Now, we did see the Penguins win the last matchup. It was back in December, 5-4 game there. I do think when we look here at the adjustments, right? This is the first game without Marcus Peterson here for them. They will also be without Drew O'Connor. So Drew O'Connor and Marcus Peterson are off to Vancouver. They've added a couple of players here, and I do think so. They've added the same from Vancouver, forward and a defenseman. Changing these players, they should fit in really strongly here. Danton Hein and Vincent, I can never pronounce his name. Vincent coming over from the Vancouver Canucks. I'm not even going to try. So we have these players inserted into these lineups. We should see them kind of take over a very similar role. I was really interested to see this trade because I really can't tell you who won other than we're just getting these players in a new uniform, really, because they are very similar play styles out of the trades that we did see. So I do think Vancouver had to move a lot of players in their locker room. Things just weren't happy for Vancouver. And I do think the Pittsburgh Penguins, won't have issues with these guys. Sid will keep them all in check. So I'm going to look here at this team to take a hot minute to get acclimated to each other. I'm going to look at the Nashville Predators to roll in here off of that game last night and to come out and win the first period. I love the Nashville Predators first period puck line laying a half a goal. That's coming in at plus 172. But I do think it's kind of dangerous here, that puck line in the first period, because we know both of these teams have every ability to score in that first period. I could see this being a 2-1 first period here for the Nashville Predators. So if you don't want to take the puck line in the first period, I'm also going to take the over 1.5. It's juicy at minus 136. I think that is your safer bet. And there's no safe bets in betting, you guys, but I do think there's definitely 2 goals in the first period. I also think both of these teams score in the first period. So both teams to score in the first period, that's coming in at plus 160. I'm going to take the over 1.5 and both teams to score in the first period, half a unit on each. And then I'm putting the full unit on the Nashville Predators first period puck line, laying a half a goal at plus 172. So I will have 2 full units on the first period. And that's just kind of how I'm going to break it down. So I do think with the talent, with the offensive talent on both sides, we should go over the 6.5. Like I said, I was shocked the juice was to the under. Let's look at the Minnesota Wild. You guys talked about it, looking for Ottawa to take the loss. Now they're a juicy favorite at home versus one of the best road teams in the league, and that's a hard spot to be. Minus 152, I can't get there with the Ottawa Senators, and a total of 5.5. Now the 5.5 is juiced to the under at minus 130, which makes sense. You know, both of these teams have such a strong ability defensively to lock down. The Ottawa Senators have been trending to that under all season, the best under team in the league, which I never would have thought out of this team coming in. Now, plus 126 here for the Minnesota Wild. When we look at the goaltending matchup, Gustafsson coming in here for the Minnesota Wild. Now, the Wild are off a shutout win. It was Marc-Andre Fleury's last game playing in Montreal. Highly emotional game. He was able to win that 4-0, and hats off to him. I love seeing Marc-Andre Fleury finishing out this season strong. I just hate when I bet against him because I did think the Montreal Canadiens would be able to keep that one tight, but we're unable to even find the back of his net. Now, when we look at this one here, Gustafsson will be in goal, and Levy coming out here for the Ottawa Senators. Both of these teams have won their last 3. Ottawa's coming off the overtime win versus the Capitals, which was outstanding. I could not believe once that went to overtime, we actually saw them be able to get the win. So I was really shocked. They're coming off that big win. They have a road trip loading. It's a 4-game road trip, and it's a hard one. They have the Predators on Monday, the Lightning on Tuesday, so the back-to-back situation. And then they have the Lightning again on Thursday. So they have them Tuesday and Thursday, both on the road, and then the Panthers on Saturday. So it's going to be a hard road trip. Are they looking ahead off a big win? Well, they could be. It's a hard call here, though, because they know they need every win. They're so hungry to make the playoffs this year, you guys. They're sitting 3rd in the Atlantic, 15-7-2 at home this season. So I don't want to bet against that. But you look at the road record here for the Minnesota Wild, 25-3. My jaw just wants to drop when I've seen what they've been able to do on the road. So the shutout win on Thursday was their last game out. This is game 4 of a 5-game road trip. They have the Bruins on Tuesday to finish it up. I do think we just look here at 1 overtime. I think this goes 2-2 to overtime. The overtime bet coming in at plus 280. I do think it stays under the 5.5. I like the under. And I really do feel like this is probably a Senators 3-2 style win at home because they get last change. We know Kaprizov is out of the lineup. Matt Boldy, though, has been stepping up beautifully for the Minnesota Wild, but I do think with the last change here, they won the last matchup 3-1 in December, and I think they can get it done. Now, I like the overtime more than anything. So if you don't want to take a side, if you just want to take overtime with me at plus 280, I think it's a great way. And then I like the under 5.5. And then the third choice would be the Ottawa Senators straight up on that money line. But it's too juicy right now. I would wait to see if we can get a better price if the Minnesota Wild score first. Okay, we're on to the Edmonton Oilers. They are at home tonight. Now, the Edmonton Oilers are coming off what looked like a heartbreaking loss to them, but people who are not fans of the Edmonton Oilers definitely was good to see the Red Wings get the win there. They were able to win that in a low-scoring game, 3-2. Now, the Edmonton Oilers are plus 172 on the money line versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs rolling in at plus 142 here on the road, total 6.5. The juice to the total is on the under 6.5 at minus 118. It makes sense. We can see these two teams lock down defensively. Stuart Skinner versus Joseph Woll. Now, the Edmonton Oilers are off that loss. Like I said, they're at the Blues on Tuesday and at Chicago on Wednesday. So they have a 2-game road trip back-to-back on deck. They're not going to look past Toronto here. Toronto sitting second in the Atlantic, losing their last 3. Their last loss was to the Minnesota Wild at home on Wednesday, 3-1. They're going to be furious after losing that one at home, you guys. And we look here at Edmonton. Edmonton will be looking to take their pain out on Toronto. So I do think if we look at one of these teams and who has the advantage, we do know Edmonton has the last change. This is going to be the storyline of Connor McDavid versus Austin Matthews. You're going to look for these two players to really give it their all. Whichever one has more success out there on the ice overall will be the team that gets the win. And I do think it's probably Edmonton, at least in the first period. I'm going to take Edmonton first period puck line laying a half a goal to get off to that hot start. We've seen them in so many of these games get off fast in that first period, and then their opponents really fight their way back. That's something Toronto has done in a bunch of these games. They've been able to keep fighting, and I do think the Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews storyline is what I'm really looking at here. We know we've got so many other playmakers. We know Leon Draisaitl has been lighting things up, but I look at the competitiveness between these two. They're both going to be at Four Nations on opposite teams. So we're going to see them just battling things out. So Edmonton first period puck line, laying a half a goal at plus 140. Now, I do think this one feels so much like another overtime game, plus 320 for this one to go to overtime. So there's a lot of games I'm liking to go to overtime tonight, you guys. But I really do think a plus 320 has every ability to go to OT. I almost like it better than Edmonton first period puck line, to be honest with you. I think we've got an absolute war out there. I think playoff style hockey, so we could see that lower scoring game, which is why I don't want to touch this total, especially at a 6.5. At the 6.5, I look under at the 5.5. Well, 3-3 going to OT puts us at 7. 2-2 going to OT puts us at 5. The 5.5. It's a hard one. I would just stay off this total. Let's look at the LA Kings. LA Kings are sliding so bad on the road right now. They're a plus 146 dog here on the road versus the Carolina Hurricanes. We know this team, Mikko Rantanen, was able to get the goal on his first game in Carolina in a Canes uniform. And we didn't see Taylor Hall out there on the ice. Let me just see if we're getting any prop bets for Taylor Hall tonight. I had bet him in the last game versus his former team to get that anytime goal in. Yes, he didn't hit the ice. He's a plus 490 for his anytime goal. It's pretty interesting. Now, Mikko Rantanen at plus 185, Sebastian Aho at plus 210. Taylor Hall, unless they moved him on those lines, should be on that second line. And I do think he has every ability to prove himself. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on Taylor Hall for the anytime goal, plus 490. I also think Rantanen continues to roll hot, plus 185. If you think they're both going to get a goal, parlaying it together, FanDuel just did it for me. It's plus 1460. Interesting. I'm going to have to, just because I saw it, I'm going to have to bet it. I will be putting that in. I haven't even thought to put it in before, but we look at this total, 5.5 in this one, minus 115, minus 105 to the over, and minus 178 here for the Carolina Hurricanes. I do think the Carolina Hurricanes are the right way. Matter of finding a way to bet them without laying juice. Now, they've won 5 of the last 6 meetings versus the LA Kings. The LA Kings goaltending has struggled as a unit versus the Carolina Hurricanes. They just can't find a way. Defensively can't find a way to shut this team down. Carolina, in some of these games, has put up, 44 shots on net on goaltending here for LA. And I think we're in for a very similar one, especially with Mikko Rantanen coming out hard. Taylor Hall looking to prove himself here, hitting the ice for the first time in Carolina. I'm looking for a high-scoring game out of Carolina, not out of the LA Kings. I do think the LA Kings could struggle to score on Frederik Andersen. They've lost their last 5 road games. This team not looking good. They've lost their last 4 here in a row. They're off the shutout loss by the Tampa Bay Lightning on Thursday, 3-0. But I don't think they turn things back around. Darcy Kemper is expected in goal. And looking at Darcy Kemper versus the Carolina Hurricanes, 2-6-1 in his career of 11 games. Not pretty. 3.48 goals against average, you guys, and an .897 save percentage. It's just not where I want to go backing the LA Kings to get back into form. This team needs to get back home where they have home ice advantage. I don't think they finish this road trip with a win. So give me the Carolina Hurricanes. I think puck line, laying a goal and a half on the puck line here for Carolina at plus 152. I also think it's worth a look for more plus money for the over 3.5 goals for the Carolina Hurricanes. My fear here is it finishes 3-1, but I do think with what we've seen out of the last 3 meetings, Carolina versus the LA Kings, they've been able to put up 5 or more goals. So I do think we can get 4 in this. Over 3.5 goals coming in at plus 138. And then you don't have to worry if the Kings get that last minute goal to cover that puck line. I love the over 3.5, but I also love the puck line. I really do think they win this 4-1, 3-1. But more likely 4-1. So, and I think the Kings struggle out there completely today. Okay. If you're looking at a playmaker, we know for the LA Kings, Kempe and Kopitar, we always look at, but Trevor Moore has scored at least 1 goal in each of the Kings' last 2 games versus the Carolina Hurricanes. So that's your trend. That's your player to watch that has been strong for the LA Kings versus the Carolina Hurricanes. We're going to look at the New York Islanders now. The Isles are on the road in Tampa to take on the Lightning. They're coming in at plus 150 on the money line, minus 182 here for the Tampa Bay Lightning, total 5.5. The 5.5 does have the juice to the over at minus 128, which makes sense if you think the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to come out here and hit Sorokin nice and hard. Your goaltending matchup is Sorokin versus Andrei Vasilevskiy. Now, the Isles have been incredibly hot, which I didn't think I would be able to say. Sorokin coming off the shutout in his last game versus the Flyers. He got that 3-0. That's his second or third shutout of the season. Can't remember. He got the shutout versus Vegas, 4-0 when Aiden Hill was on the other side in Vegas. So getting this one here versus the Flyers, it was a great night. So it is the second game on the road in the first night of a back-to-back. They will face the Panthers tomorrow. Now they're sitting 5th in the Metro, and we have the Tampa Bay Lightning sitting 4th in the Atlantic, solid at home. 16-7-1 at home. They won their last 8 as a favorite versus the Isles. It's been a good spot for them. We've seen home ice advantage between these two teams. The home team winning 5 of the last 6. They've also, when we look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, when they've won, they've also covered that puck line versus the Isles in their last 7. So the puck line here for the Tampa Bay Lightning laying 1.5 is coming in at plus 142. If you think that they can win this one in another game, which they put up a couple goals. Now, I don't know if we see that in this one, because while it makes sense for the Tampa Bay Lightning to win a higher scoring game, I've got to factor in what Sorokin has been doing and how strong he's been playing out there. Andrei Vasilevskiy, I don't think, is going to let in more than a couple goals, and I really struggle to see Sorokin doing so. So the puck line for the Tampa Bay Lightning doesn't make sense to me, because I could see this finishing 3-2. I really do think the under 5.5, even though it makes no sense with how strong offensively the Lightning can be, to take an under with them and how dangerous they can be, you are seeing that defensive lockdown by the Tampa Bay Lightning as well. And you've seen Sorokin so hot. So I've got to go under 5.5. That's coming in at plus 104. I think the first period under 1.5. Both of these goaltenders can come out hot to start. So the first period under 1.5. I just want to see what value we are getting on that, because I haven't bet it yet, but it's something that I was looking to get in. Just didn't have time before the show. So first period under 1.5. Yeah, we're getting minus 108 for the first period under 1.5. It kind of, I love when I like an under to look at that first period, because you take the whole situation of empty netters out of the game if this game is tight, which I do expect it to be tight. in that third period. So the under 1.5 and then the under 5.5. The under 5.5, though, we're getting plus money. Next game on deck, you guys, with the Winnipeg Jets. You guys were talking about it. The Winnipeg Jets have won their last 5. Do they lose tonight here versus the Washington Capitals? Now, looking at odds on this one, this is basically a pick 'em. We have the Winnipeg Jets at minus 106, the Washington Capitals at minus 113, total of 5.5. Juice to that under at minus 124, plus 102 if you're brave enough to take this to the over. Elite goaltending on both sides of the puck. Connor Hellebuck versus Logan Thompson. This is playoff style hockey between these two teams tonight. First in the Central, first in the Metro. We're going to see some freaking fireworks. I can hardly wait for this game. The one thing, the Winnipeg Jets, they've fallen flat on their faces in Washington the last 11 times. You guys, 11 times in a row, they've been unable to get the win. The Capitals have got the win, and we're seeing only slight juice, basically a pick 'em here for the Washington Capitals. What am I missing? Why are the books giving us such great value? Well, because no one wants to step in front of the Winnipeg Jets right now, but I do think the Washington Capitals get the win at home. You look at the Jets overall, and it's not like the Jets have just rolled into Washington and not being able to win here. They've also struggled at home. They've only won 6 of the last 24 meetings versus the Washington Capitals. They're also 5-22 in the last 27 in Washington. I just can't back the Jets to continue on this winning streak. This is their last game of a 3-game road trip. They are home on Tuesday versus the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, the detrimental spot here for the Washington Capitals, this is the first game home off of 5 on the road. They went 3-2. You know, I don't love looking at teams off of a long road trip, but they've got to stand tall here at home because that last game on the road was a loss. They got the loss to the Ottawa Senators in OT 5-4. So look for them to take it out here on the Winnipeg Jets. I expect them to come out and win that first period. I will take the Washington Capitals first period money line. I think you could also look at the puck line laying the half a goal, get that great plus money, but I don't want to be greedy here. And I do think they can just win it on the money line. So Andrew Mangiapane has been really strong versus the Winnipeg Jets as well for the Capitals. So someone to look at. He scored at least 1 goal in the last 3 appearances versus the Jets. So look at Mangiapane. We know we all want to see Ovi continue to roll hot. I do think Ovi rolls hot as well. The Caps will have to stay out of the box. We know how strong the power play is here for the Winnipeg Jets. So stay out of the box, and then they have every ability to be able to pull this one off. Trends to the over between these two teams in Washington, 17-6-1. I do think if this one goes over that total, it is the Washington Capitals getting a ton of goals in this one. So I'm just going to take Caps to win. And then last but not least, we have the Detroit Red Wings and the Calgary Flames. Now, I'll be at this game tonight, and my mom will be at the game, going with her. The trend is when my mom's at the game, Calgary's able to pull off these wins. Now, this is going to be a hard one versus Detroit because Detroit really has dominated Calgary. Not in Calgary, though. They've only won 2 of the last 8 meetings in Calgary, but overall, they have been so strong versus the Calgary Flames. So Detroit rolling in here at a minus 105 money line price, minus 114 here for the Calgary Flames. Total 5.5. We're actually seeing the juice to the over 5.5 minus 114. I do expect this one to be an under game, under 5.5 at minus 106. We know players have gone from Calgary. We got a couple of players coming in from the Philadelphia Flyers, including Morgan Frost. And I do think, I'm not sure if he's going to be in the lineup. Actually, let me see if we're seeing Morgan Frost for any odds here in the lineup for Calgary tonight. Because I have not got confirmation either way if he'll be in that lineup tonight. Yeah, we're seeing Morgan Frost for the anytime goal for Calgary coming in at plus 350. So he's going to be in that lineup. I'm actually interested to see where they're going to put him. So let me just see if I can pull up Calgary's starting lineup for you guys and see where he is going to be. Now, they're still just giving me the lineup from 2 days ago. So that is not going to help me, but they are looking that he's going to center the 3rd line. So with Sharakovich. Okay, and then Joel Farabee will be left winger on that third line with Morgan Frost and Sharakovich. So that third line, it's going to be interesting to see what they're able to do, how they're able to build out there with each other. We'll have to watch that third line. Definitely going to be watching it tonight. So looking at this one, I do think you look at the under. You look at the under 5.5. I think Calgary can get off to a pretty decent start. We've seen the Red Wings playing really strong right now. They won their last 4, coming off that win versus the Edmonton Oilers in a shootout 3-2. First night of a back-to-back. They have the Vancouver Canucks on deck tomorrow, so they will have to travel to Vancouver after this game, and then they face Seattle Kraken on Tuesday to finish up this road trip. Now, their numbers on the road, 10-10-3. And like I said, they're only 2-6 in the last 8 meetings in Calgary, but they've won the last 5 as a dog versus the Calgary Flames. So slight dog here. It's starting to become more of a pick 'em. Calgary was like a -125 favorite when this one opened. I think we could see Calgary come in nice and strong in the first period. I do think Morgan Frost adds to this lineup, even though I'm really sad about all of the changes here for Calgary. I think this team is going to look a little bit stronger. Kuzmenko has gone and Pelche has gone as well. So it's hard for Calgary in this one, but Calgary's been able to pick up some draft picks, and it should be a good move for them. Now, those trends to the under 5-2-2 in the last 9 meetings, to the under 17-8-5 in the last 30 meetings in Calgary have gone under that total. Lucas Raymond has been strong against the Calgary Flames for the Red Wings. He's been able to score a goal in each of the last 2 games for the Red Wings versus the Flames. But we got Dustin Wolf in net, and that's where I'm really loving this one to the under. You guys, right now, Dustin Wolf to take the Calder Trophy, the Rookie of the Year trophy, is coming in at plus 1,100. Well, it was a couple days ago, so check those odds. We are seeing Celebrini as the clear-cut favorite. You got to lay so much juice for him. And then Lane Hudson coming in second, and you are getting plus money with him. He's with the Montreal Canadiens. But I do think Dustin Wolf, at the value you're getting, has every opportunity to pull off the upset, especially if Calgary really does make a push here for the postseason. They're sitting 4th in the Pacific right now. They're on a long home stance. They need every single win they can get. And I do think Calgary has the ability to get the win tonight. So I'll look at Calgary first period money line to come out strong. We've seen them give away games, and that is where my fear is, that they give away this one late. So I'll take Calgary in the first period on the money line. But that's the 9 games for today, you guys. We're going to just quickly jump into that recap, and then we'll see you back here tomorrow at noon Eastern on SportsGrid TV on X. So let me just have one sip of coffee, and we're going to do that recap. Okay, so we're kicking it off with the Chicago Blackhawks and the Florida Panthers. This game kicking off right away here, you guys. We're going to see the Florida Panthers come out nice and strong, I think, in the first period. I'm going to take the Florida Panthers first period puck line laying a half a goal. That's coming in at -106, just trying to find value on this team. I do think Sam Reinhart for goal number 30 today, and Matthew Tkachuk for an anytime goal as well. If you want someone from Chicago, Connor Bedard has been strong scoring in the last 3 road games. The New York Rangers and the Boston Bruins. I like the Rangers first period money line to come out strong, but I do think original 6 matchup. We got such a scrappy game out there. I think this one stays under the 5.5 at plus 112. Now, storyline, Chris Kreider in his hometown should be able to score tonight on Swayman. So I'd look at him for the anytime goal. You've also got to look at the fact JT Miller should be in this lineup tonight. What impact is he going to give the Rangers? How are they going to play for the full game? You could see Boston sneak it out. So after the Rangers go up, if you want to come back in on Boston, I don't hate it. The Nashville Predators versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think we get an explosion in the first period. There's 3 things I'm liking all in the first period. Half a unit on the over 1.5 goals in the first period. Both teams to score in the first period for half a unit at plus 160. And then I'm putting a full unit on the Nashville Predators puck line first period, laying a half a goal at plus 172. Yes, I think this is a 2-1 first period for the Nashville Predators, and then we'll call it a day. So then I'm out of that game. I'm just completely done. Looking at the Minnesota Wild and the Ottawa Senators, I think another under 5.5 for this game. The Ottawa Senators, I think, can win this 3-2 style game. Not enough value to take them on the money line. Look at the overtime bet at plus 280. The Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Edmonton Oilers. I think Edmonton can get this done at the end of the day. But again, another battle that finishes in overtime. Give me the overtime bet at plus 320. Give me Edmonton on the puck line in the first period, laying a half goal at plus 140. The LA Kings versus the Carolina Hurricanes. There's no way I'm touching the Kings. They're sliding down a hill so fast right now. They've lost their last 4. This is a terrible road trip for them. I'm going to look at the Carolina Hurricanes to hit Darcy Kemper hard in this game. I love the Canes laying a goal and a half on the puck line plus 152. I also like them over 3.5 goals at plus 138. I really do feel 4-1, 4-2 style win here for the Carolina Hurricanes. Frederick Anderson in net. Remember, the Carolina Hurricanes versus the LA Kings have just dominated in the last 3 meetings with the amount of goals they've been able to put up in the last 3, putting up 5 or more in each. Trevor Morris, who you want to look at, though. For the LA Kings, he's had success versus Carolina Hurricanes. And for the Canes, I'm going to look at Mikko Rantanen. Taylor Hall also provides value. His first game in the uniform here on the home ice for Carolina. I'd look at him at plus 490 for that long shot goal. The New York Islanders versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. First period, under 1.5. I think you look at the goaltending matchup, Sorokin versus Vasilevsky. You've got to expect both of these goaltenders to come out hot. Under 5.5 for the full game, I do think is in play. You risk the empty netter in that 5.5 because I think 3-2 style game here. So the under 1.5, I like better. The Winnipeg Jets and the Washington Capitals, it's got to be the Caps to win straight up on the money line at home. We've seen the Jets just struggle to win here, so I can't trust them. The Detroit Red Wings and the Calgary Flames. Give me Calgary first period money line to come out hot. Give me the under 5.5, though. I do think between Cam Talbot and Dustin Wolf, we've got a lower scoring game. One which they're going to just completely battle this one out. But you guys, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here today. Rob, best of luck in all of your bets and good luck to everyone. I hope you guys make some freaking money. Remember, I'm live on the grid from 4 o'clock Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you come over and join me. And then going to be running straight to this hockey game. So stay tuned on X for any of my comments in this game. You know, I'll be frustrated if Calgary is losing, but I just don't think it's going to go that way. Not with my mom in the building. You guys know those trends. When mom's in the building, Calgary is able to get the win. You guys, let's make some freaking money. I'll see you tomorrow. Best of luck in all of your bets. And make sure you hit that like, drop a comment. Tell me who you're liking to get the win and hit that subscribe button and hit the retweet button over on X. You guys are the best. We'll see. Hit some anytime goal scorers as well as save shots on goal for some of these goalies.